Yo, Sanjoche here, people Wagwan. So welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone had a great weekend by the time you're listening to this, which should be Tuesday for the most part. But anyway, getting right into it, the Boyhood arc of the Boruto anime, which recently concluded with episode 136, which I also did a reaction slash review to, which I wouldn't mind if you guys checked out. If you haven't already, I would appreciate the feedback on that video since I'm kind of still experimenting with the whole, live reaction aspect. But yeah, anyway, the Boyhood arc of the anime. If I'm being honest, this arc will go down as one of the most memorable arcs for the Boruto anime. I don't think you'll be able to talk about the Boruto anime in the future without actually mentioning this arc. Not in terms of quality, but just specifically because of the context, what it entails time travel. I mean, that's out there even for the Naruto franchise, which only has had one other time travel aspect or situation, which was the Naruto Shippuden Lost Tower movie, which was so yeah. So I'll definitely say that about the arc. Personally speaking, I enjoyed the arc. Even though I felt like it got mixed reception for the most part, I thought the reception was positive based on what everybody was saying in the various comment sections of the various videos across YouTube and social media. But it still had problems, and I just want to talk about those problems and everything about the arc for the most part in this one concise video, if you get what I mean. So let's start at the beginning. Of course, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Boruto chapter 41 is coming up, so yeah. But yeah, so at the beginning, this whole arc from a production standpoint started with Masashi Kishimoto for the 20th anniversary of the Naruto anime specifically. He approached the studio based on what's been reported across the interwebs. Since it was the 20th anniversary of the anime, he came and said, yo, wouldn't it be cool if Boruto made the childhood version of Naruto? And boom, that's how we got this arc for the most part, celebrating the 20th anniversary. Honestly, when I first heard about the arc, it immediately caught my interest because, as I said, time travel is such an out there concept for the Naruto franchise, and I was kind of interested in seeing how they would pull it off, especially when it was revealed that Urashiki would be the main villain of the arc, which I'm sure left a lot of people with some mixed feelings, since we recently had come off the whole, Shukaku rescue or Shukaku protection arc where Urashiki wasn't really all that impressive for the most part. So yeah, but immediately getting into the arc after they did the whole setup with Boruto asking about Jiraiya, which actually filtered into him meeting Jiraiya in the arc, and they actually went back in time. We were for the most part impressed by that first episode, specifically the last scene where we had Boruto speaking to Naruto. I think that was a good indication of what was to come for the arc. But at the same time, the arc still had its problems, which I'll get into in a little bit here. But honestly, this arc took full advantage of the nostalgia factor. It took full advantage of the idea or the fact that most persons who have invested time into this show, at least from the western hemisphere of Earth, it sounds so wild saying it like that, they're only invested because of the old cast for Naruto's generation, and I felt like this arc took that idea or that fact to the extreme sense, since we literally went back to part 1 Naruto, to the point that they even used the part 1 soundtracks for the next episode previews, for the OSTs in general. It was a nice time. It definitely hit some emotional and nostalgia beats, and the arc definitely succeeded where that was concerned, honestly. Now, I've said in previous videos that going forward with the Boruto franchise, character interaction and building character dynamics between the old cast and the new cast is going to be what's essential for keeping the Western audience interested, or at least as a way to transition from the old cast and making the new cast more memorable, which is currently happening in the manga. But this is where I felt like the arc, from that explanation there, is where I feel like the arc kind of fell short, because I feel like a lot of people were expecting Boruto and Sasuke to interact with much more of the old generation, so it kind of comes off as the arc missed a lot of opportunities. I know a lot of persons were expecting Itachi and probably getting to see younger Sasuke, probably Boruto interact with some of his characters, probably even Orochimaru, but we never actually got that. We were more or less confined to the village because, of course, we're there to protect younger Naruto from Urashiki, who's there to capture the Nine-Tails chakra. But I felt like the arc could have been longer from that perspective, from a character interaction standpoint, and we could have been introduced to, you know, other conflicts in the arc to kind of lengthen it. But I guess they wanted to keep it short and sweet for the whole 20th anniversary. But that's all I'll say on that. It just feels like it could have been longer from that perspective in terms of certain interactions that we didn't get. Because at the end of the day, if Sasuke still went around and erased everybody's memories anyway, like, we could have done anything for the most part, if you get what I mean. Because as I said, if he's going to erase everyone's memory, then why not? Why not go around and have Boruto interact and see the state of the ninja world at this point in time, if everyone's memories are going to be erased? And even though I say that, I can kind of understand, because as I've also said on this channel in previous videos before, is that certain developments for Boruto, it can't surpass the emotional character portrayal or its developments in the manga. So I guess that's why they wouldn't really go that far as well. So you kind of have to look at the coin, the two sides of the coin here, and really contrast and compare. Now, the other problem I feel with the arc, Urashiki and Sasuke. Urashiki is a problem. I feel like the arc could have been much more if Urashiki himself was built up better before this arc. Urashiki hasn't been utilized the best, if I do say so myself. He's been pretty underwhelming. I know a lot of persons would say, yo, he hardly uses the abilities of the Rinnegan in situations that would have actually allowed him to escape. For example, it's not like Momoshiki, where his gimmick of absorbing ninjutsu or chakra is just through his Rinnegan in his hand. They never really established that with Urashiki, so Urashiki should be able to use the abilities of the Rinnegan, but it doesn't seem so. He only seems to be able to use his, you know, space-time ninjutsu and his whole, you know, time redo over trick with his blue Rinnegan. But a lot of persons I see have been complaining the fact that a lot of these Otsutsuki aren't really using the Rinnegan's abilities to come out of situations that rightfully they should survive, and I guess it kind of comes off as, you know, being contrived or, you know, not realistic within the confines of what's been established with the franchise already. But I think more than that, I just believe Urashiki hasn't really been built up as being that credible as a villain or antagonist, so it kind of comes off as child's play, even though he is really powerful. But it just seems like so the art just never really lives up to the stakes that they want us to believe. You know, we know what's at stake in terms of the timeline being changed and all of that, but it just never comes off as At the end of the Boruto Naruto Next Generations, at the end of the movie retelling, Urashiki did have that kind of vibe, like, yo, he could be so much more, but it just never happens. So the arc kind of feels like it falls or loses some points because Urashiki, even within the arc, isn't really built up to be all that anyway. I mean, even when he captured Naruto, like, yo, you could have just space-timed with Naruto to like another section of the planet or something, like. So yeah, it kind of feels contrived with him, and or at least the stakes just never feel all that, so you're not really fully invested in, like, So yeah, Sasuke, the whole being out of chakra aspect, I kind of mentioned it in the 136 episode review / reaction that, yeah, him being out of chakra but still being able to do stuff is a testament how strong he is. But yo, it was annoying to see every time that Sasuke gets involved, he basically was nerfed for lack of a better term, honestly, and it was just so ridiculous because, yo, it got to the point that people in comment sections all over social media would joke about it. That's how serious it was, and I'm like, no, Them really do Sasuke, bud. Yeah, do. But yeah, even though it's, I can understand what they're going for by, you know, allowing Sasuke to do stuff still, even though he got his chakra sold by Urashiki. Because comparatively speaking, when you compare things to Urashiki's other victims, his other victims weren't able to do anything at all when they got their chakra stolen. So I know it's supposed to highlight how strong Sasuke is, but yo, they should have found another way to make Sasuke useful. Or even so, they made him look so pitiful, brother. Like when Urashiki, I think it was episode 133 or 132, when Urashiki was just standing and stepping on Sasuke, and that's so stupid. Honestly. But I think that was, those two aspects are like the major problems with the arc. Urashiki as antagonist not being built up enough, and the utilization of Sasuke at the same time. That aside, it was good seeing Jiraiya again. Just the dynamics between all the characters was fun to watch, honestly, and just seeing the younger characters again, yo. Nostalgia, I tell you, nostalgia. But all in all, I thought it was a decent arc. At least a 6.5, 7 out of 10. Plus the fact that, you know, it's the concept of the arc is just so out there. Even if it's like a mid arc, or, you know, like a 7 or a 6, like it definitely will stand out. You have to count it as one of the better arcs of the anime. And honestly, seeing Boruto get to actually find out more about his father firsthand, it was good, but at the same time repetitive of what the movie arc accomplished already. Well, I guess it's kind of like an extension of that. It kind of builds on that, but it feels like it's necessary but not necessary, if you get what I mean. So yeah, because at the end of the movie arc, Naruto and Boruto had come to the agreement that, yo, we're gonna get to learn more about each other. We can make things stay how they are, etc., etc. And this arc kind of feels like it builds on that, but it wasn't really necessary at the same time. Honestly, the Boruto manga has handled everything pretty much spot on in terms of Boruto's development. And it's something I keep saying, that since we're not ready to adapt the manga yet, and the anime writers can't necessarily go beyond the emotional development or the character development that Boruto should have in the manga at this point, we keep getting these kind of soft reboots of lessons that Boruto has to keep learning over and over again. So basically it kind of feels like on a low key or low scale, he keeps getting taught the same lessons. So what I'm basically saying is that based on everything that Boruto's gone through in the anime already, they can't portray his character like they portrayed it in the manga. They can't go beyond that because the manga is what they're going to adapt in the future. So yeah, but anyway, been babbling on for quite a while now. That's all I have for this one, people. Let me know your final thoughts on the Boyhood arc. I doubt I'm gonna do anything crazy editing wise for this video, so I guess super podcast style. But anyway, let me know what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.